Hey, what's going on, man? Good, good, good. Um, just getting ready to jump on. Hey, do you mind going to your just go to the link for the webinar for the Zoom invite? Yeah, I think you had to add it to your calendar. Is that working? Mm-hmm. Okay. What's your Zoom ID? Okay, good. Yeah. You shouldn't be able to get in yet because I haven't broadcast it yet. Okay, cool. Really all I wanted there. I'm going to get to the beginning of presentation. I am in the demo. All right, I'm going to get going here. I'm going to go ahead and go live in about, I'll start broadcasting in about 5 minutes beforehand. So I'm going to, I'll call you back about 5 minutes beforehand. I do want to just, if it's okay with you, just keep you can just mute it and don't even, you know, you don't have to worry about talking to me unless like for some reason all of a sudden I'm not sharing the right screen, you're not seeing what you expect to see, etc. Okay. Right. Just keep your phone on, just keep it on mute and I'll just keep I'll keep my AirPod in my ear. So if anything goes wrong, you can let me know. All right. Oh, hey, I got word back from Spotswood today. He's ready to move forward. That is going to move. It's going to turn into a big deal for us. $1,600 a month for just 8 properties. You're welcome on that one. $7,500 implementation fee. He is going to expect though that we're doing cash reconciliations on a daily basis and reporting on a daily basis. So, yep, and we're bringing a new one on. So, all right. You can either you can just mute if you want to right now, and okay, sounds good. See ya. Okay, yeah, I mute too. Hey, Michael, I just started the broadcast. That let you in? Okay, sounds great. Looks like we've got another attempt. Okay, sounds good. David, I see you're here. Thanks for joining early. We're going to be just waiting a few minutes. We should start right at 3:30, though. Test, test. Okay, sounds good. And just a reminder, I see there's a few more people that have joined. We'll be starting right at 3:30, so appreciate everybody being on ahead of time. But we'll wait until right at 3:30 and get going. We've got a lot to cover today, and I appreciate everybody jumping on. Well, Jim, it looks like you just joined. I thought I'd just also let you know we're just waiting a few more minutes here. We'll get started right at 3:30, but thank you for joining us. Well, I see a lot of people starting to join, so I just want to welcome everybody. We're going to give it a few more minutes, not quite 3:30 yet, but we'll get going here in just a few moments. But I appreciate everybody joining. Okay, well, it's now 3:30, so welcome everybody. We're very excited to chat with everybody today and show you Sage Intacct for vacation rental accounting managers. Um, we're been working hard on the demonstration, so we're excited to show you what we have. First, as an introduction, my name is Jesse Arrett. I'm the CEO and founder of Ximplifi. I've put my contact information there. I'll share it again later, but certainly look forward to talking with anybody afterwards if you want to reach out to talk about anything that we talk about today or your specific accounting and software needs. A little bit about me. My passion is solving the accounting and finance problems for small to mid-size companies specializing in the vacation rental industry. My experience comes from over 12 years in public accounting. Most of that was with PricewaterhouseCoopers, a global professional services and CPA firm. And then I also spent, after that time at PwC, I spent about 2 years as the CFO of a global vacation rental management business in Denver, Colorado. They hired me to transform their finance function. They were both an owner and operator. They owned several luxury properties around the world in multiple funds, as well as they managed third-party properties, about 20 different properties, again, in different destinations around the world. And so they tasked me with transforming their accounting, which had become very complex in multiple QuickBooks companies with a lot of intercompany and transactions happening all over the world to simplify that process. And that was where I first was introduced. Actually, I became a customer of Sage Intacct at the time and learned how Sage Intacct was so powerful for this industry. So after about 2 years as a CFO for that business, who we actually still advise today at Ximplifi, I had a dream of starting my own firm and launched that about 2 years ago. And with my experience in the vacation rental industry and seeing such a need in this industry for financial and accounting leadership, I founded Ximplifi. So a little bit about us. Who is Ximplifi? Well, first, our mission is very simple. We know that being a small business owner, a medium-sized business owner, is hard work, and being a small to medium-sized business owner in the vacation rental industry is even harder work. It's 24/7 dealing with guests, dealing with owners. It really never stops. And so there's nothing more gratifying to us than having our clients come to us and say, man, Jesse, I can't imagine life without Ximplifi. And because of you, we're spending time growing our business. I have more time to spend with my family, and our bottom line's growing. And so that's really our mission. And we do that through technology, which obviously we're going to talk mostly about today. And we also provide outsourced accounting services with expert financial advisory. So a little bit about what that looks like. Really two sides of our business, which, as I just alluded to, the first is that client accounting services. We act as a fully outsourced accounting team, handling everything from trust accounting to bill payment to bank reconciliations, owner statements, financial reporting, and CFO advisory. Although certainly we understand that outsourced accounting services doesn't fit every business model, and perhaps for whatever reason, it makes more sense to have an internal accounting team, but they still want to have the advantages and the power that that Sage Intacct brings to the vacation rental management industry and businesses. So we are a reseller. We come in, we act as a consultant. We resell Sage Intacct as a subscription, and perform all the customization that comes and is necessary to meet the specific needs of each and every business, and specifically the VRM industry. And as well, we provide ongoing technical support to those clients. So you might be wondering, what is Sage Intacct if you haven't already, if you're not already familiar with it. A little bit about Sage Intacct is that it's a proven financial management system. It's a cloud-based accounting ERP launched back in the late 90s. Year after year, wins awards from multiple publications as being #1 in customer satisfaction. It is the only preferred financial application accounting software by the AICPA, which is the American Institute of Public Accountants. It's a visionary leader continuing to innovate solutions from an accounting perspective to meet the needs in multiple industries. And they have a global presence with 3 million customers in 25 countries and over 13,000 employees. And just a little bit too about the awards that they've won. G2 Crowd is a great website to really go look at the reviews of all kinds of different types of software, and regardless, accounting software, even property management system software. And year after year, again, they win award for customer satisfaction, product direction, and overall score. So that brings us to what is Sage Intacct vacation rental accounting software. Quite simply, over the last several years, we, in performing these services for over 25 vacation rental vacation rental management companies now, we have customized and configured Sage Intacct in a way to meet the specific needs of this industry. And so, what are those specific requirements? As many of you, likely are aware, handling all the accounting for the management company, as well as handling the trust accounting, everything that goes with the owner's statements, such as the revenue, recognizing that revenue upon arrival or departure. And obviously that feeds into the owner statements, tracking all the expenses that maybe were incurred by the management company but need to be deducted from the owner statement. And obviously the key piece to all the financial information that's happening is the property management system. I often think of the property management system as the point of sale system that holds all of the financial data associated with the different bookings. And so, what's important is that you have a system and a way to work with that property management system. And as we know, or at least what I hear, and I constantly have people call me and ask us to solve is, hey, how do you deal with trust accounting, especially perhaps you either have a system that does a property management system that does trust accounting today, but you're looking for an alternative, or you have a great property management system, you like how it connects with all the different OTAs, but it doesn't provide owner statements. It doesn't provide the trust accounting functionality. What are the options? First, I just want to define trust accounting again, because I get asked about it all the time. Quite simply, tracking money held on behalf of others. Who are those others? Guests, the advance deposits that you receive in advance of their stay. Owners, all the allocated rent and fees that have not yet been paid out to them, outside vendors such as sales tax or cleaning companies, and you as a vacation rental management company, money that's held in trust owed back to you for your commissions and cleaning fees that are passing to you. And what's required? A lot of there's many jurisdictions or states that don't require trust accounting, but we think it's best practice. But trust accounting is quite simply holding money, what's required is that you hold money separately. You're not going to commingle those funds. It's going to be held in a separate trust or escrow account, where depending on different events, those monies are going to move buckets, right? We're going to recognize the fact that we have rental revenue that needs to be paid out to the owner, or commissions that need to be paid out to the management company. And then at any time we need to reconcile that cash in the trust to whose money it is. And then why is it so important? I touched a little bit on the regulatory environments. Certainly there's certain states that are very strict about this. We also think that there's an ethical and moral obligation to account for money held on behalf of others appropriately. And then most importantly is that by instituting trust accounting, you have a better understanding of your cash position. How much cash are you holding that is yours versus money that's owed out to guests that haven't arrived, or owners for their owner payments? There's a few options when it comes to doing the trust accounting. I put 4 up here. I think 1 really isn't even an option. If you really want to do trust accounting, that's one environment in, say, a QuickBooks or Xero company to track both the management, the operating accounting, and the trust accounting. Really not recommended. The second one is that you would create 2 QuickBooks companies, one to track your management company, one to track the trust accounting and the different ledgers for your owners and your third-party properties. And then the third, which we certainly work with several clients that work in this way, is that they're combining accounting software, and for our clients, that's Sage Intacct, combined with a property management system that has trust accounting, such as Streamline or Scapia, or Track Hospitality, which is certainly a good option, and certainly one of the best setups that you can have. But we really want to focus today on this 4th option, and that is handling the accounting for both the trust and the operating account and the management company within one environment, multi-entity environment such as Sage Intacct. It provides a number of advantages that we're going to talk about here shortly, and also it allows those people that might be very happy with their property management system, but are looking for a way to accommodate trust accounting to do so, even though their current property management system might not have owner statement capabilities and might not have trust accounting capabilities. So that's what we're going to talk about is how do we accommodate that with Sage Intacct. So what property management software do we work with? We get this question a lot. First, we really haven't been brought a property management software we can't work with. I've listed all the ones that we currently have clients that we work with today. We are everything that I'm going to go over today is generally done right now through exporting data from the property management software and using import templates to import that data. It's very seamless, although we understand that many people are asking, hey, which ones are you directly integrated with? We're currently developing that, and we expect within the first few months of Q1 2020 that we'll be that we will be having that complete and rolling that out. Sage Intacct is a system, though, that is very open to integrations, has an open API, and really can integrate with any property management system that has an open API. So let's see the software. I know that's why everybody is here. So this is Sage Intacct. First, I've already mentioned it a bit, but entities. This is a multi-entity environment. This would be a fairly standard setup for a VRM, where we have the trust that is one entity. We have the vacation rental management company as another entity, and that allows us to hold the trust funds and everything that's going on for the owners and the properties in one entity, and then everything related to your commissions, your payroll, your operating expenses, et cetera, in another company for reporting purposes. Another element of the architecture of Sage Intacct that's very important to understand is dimensions. Dimensions are extremely powerful, and they're within Sage Intacct, and they think classes or tracking categories within say a QuickBooks environment, but we have multiple ways that we can track each and every transaction that happens within Sage Intacct, and we're able to use those dimensions and those different tracking categories to build custom reports, build custom dashboards, and also different KPIs, key performance indicators, and also is key to facilitating trust accounting. Certainly within a vacation rental management environment, one of the key dimensions is those properties. And obviously we use the location dimension to accommodate that. So we can see here where we have all of our properties that exist within the trust entity. And so all of the rent that's going to flow out to the owner, all the management expenses that need to be charged to the owner, any property expenses, et cetera, that flow to the owner are going to be recorded in these locations. You can see here that we've also duplicated those properties under the vacation rental management company in the same fashion, so that we can track the management commissions or the rental commissions that are flowing to the VRM company down to those individual properties. And you can also see where we've set up some parent destinations. So in this particular example, we're operating in Louisville, Nashville, and Houston. One other way that we often use dimensions is to set up parent customers with sub-customers. And so this allows us, and I'll show how we have this on our dashboard later, but this allows us to track the revenue that's coming from our different OTAs or sources. Perhaps you want to list direct as a parent customer as well. One other option that we sometimes use is we'll use class to track those sources. So we have various options to tag and track that information, but understanding what your source for all of your bookings we think is very important. So it's something that we are always setting up for our clients. Another key element that for Sage Intacct and how we track information is statistical accounts. This really allows us to track those statistics that are important to an operator to understand how their performance is the financial performance of their business, such as, hey, what are the number of properties managed? What's the number of guest stays that have occurred? What's the number of nights stayed that have occurred so far this year? And that also allows us to begin to track the different KPIs that are important, the key performance indicators that are important to this industry, such as average daily rates, average guest ticket, revenue per property managed, etc. I'm just going to jump real quick into showing and talking about how data comes over from the property management system. Again, this is typically going to flow through either a direct connection or a daily or weekly import from the property management system. Related to that particular booking and the financial data that's coming out of the PMS. You can first see here, so we have this Kyle Janelle, which the invoice date will always represent, at least how we always set it up, is that invoice date is going to represent the booking date. The GL posting date, that's going to represent, in this example, they're recognizing revenue upon arrival, so that would be the arrival date. And then also the due date. So this particular was, let's assume that it was a direct booking, or maybe it's a VRBO booking and you get paid out ahead of time with VRBO bookings. We're going to expect that money is paid out basically upon invoice date as opposed to getting paid on the GL posting date. The other thing that's really key to note, and I know that there's oftentimes a lot more, perhaps we have sales tax, perhaps we have host fees, etc. That data we typically are bringing over into Sage Intacct and into the invoice as well. I've just shown rents and cleaning fees from an example standpoint, but one keynote here is that we have rents. You can see rents we've allocated to Houston 003, or this downtown flat. And then you can see we have housekeeping that the location there is VRM. So that's flowing to the operating company or the vacation rental management company, where the rents are going to pass through to the trust. Just because in this instance, the VRM is responsible for collecting those fees from the guest and also paying the cleaning fees. One thing that's, so one other item to note is that, again, we talked about that this recognition date is going to be on the arrival date. So here we've assumed that we've received a payment on December 12th. So that's automatically recording an advance deposit because we received money prior to the posting date of that invoice, which is going to record an advance deposit. And then it's going to reverse that upon this posting date. So that's how we handle the accrual and the automatic recognition of revenue upon arrival date. We could also set it at departure date, and also there are ways as well to handle if we want to recognize that revenue over, say, a period of days. If, for instance, a stay crosses months or periods, so we can also accommodate that. But in this example, we're just recognizing it all, excuse me, on arrival. And one other note that I'll mention is that this money for this day, $1,250, was received into the trust. but you can remember that the cleaning fees will pass through to the vacation rental management company. Sage Intacct automatically knows that, hey, this money was received in the trust. The cleaning fees needs to go to the VRM. And so automatically upon the posting of and the recognition of this income, $250 will be created as a due to operating from the trust. So that's one of the key points to understand as far as how the invoices flow through to Sage Intacct and then is recognized and tracked. Obviously, one of the big pain points when it comes to vacation rental managers is all the expenses that you need to keep track of with your credit cards and tracking those expenses, making sure they're getting billed back to the owner, and perhaps those expenses are happening on an operating credit card. And you might have to go into your property management system to input those expenses, or maybe you're creating understatements outside in an Excel or a Google Doc, and you have to track those and get those placed on the understatement. Sage Intacct really makes that very, very simple. As that operating credit card, as that charge comes through, Sage Intacct knows that that's a credit card that is owned by the operating company or the management company. We put that expense on the particular property, the trust property, and this again will create that automatic due to operating from the trust. So I'll show you in just a minute how this $500 just flows. You only have to enter that one time versus entering it multiple times, sometimes 3 times if you're recording it once, recording in the property management system, and then recording it to back it out of your own financials as the management company. Here, we enter it once, we automatically create the money due to operations from the trust. So I will actually, I won't quite jump to that yet. One other item is just, hey, how do we handle your management fees? Management fees is another item that typically with almost all systems that we use, those commissions are being calculated, and you can run a report for what those commissions are. And so we are typically bringing that over again as either an export on a daily or weekly basis, and recording that via an upload into Sage Intacct, or it would book via a direct integration with the property management system. But one thing that's key to note is that obviously management commissions are revenue to the operating company. They are an expense to the owner or the property. And so here we've recorded the revenue, which goes to the operating company. We've recorded the expense to the trust location, and that is automatically creating again that intercompany, right? That money that's due to the vacation rental management company from the trust, that again is automatically being created and tracked, so that we always know, hey, how much money is it owed from the trust. And so with that, I'll jump over and show you an example of a an owner statement. And keep in mind that we can customize these owner statements in many different ways. I've shown you here how we generally handle the creation of the owner statement. But there's multiple ways that we can configure these reports. One real advantage of Sage Intacct is its flexibility in creating custom reports and creating things the way that you want them and how they fit your business. So here we see we've got the beginning balance. It's 0, so we don't have any money that wasn't paid out last month, or we don't have a negative balance for some reason if they had expenses that weren't covered by their revenue. So that's good that our balance is 0. Then we show here our different reservations, the rental revenue broken out by OTA and the individual guests for that month. Same thing for the rental management commissions. And then, as I talked about earlier, that $500 that's a billable expense that flowed through the credit card has now been placed on the owner statement as a deduction for this owner. For this month. And I would also bring up that one tool that we often use to automate, because we know sometimes there's a lot of credit cards out there, and we have to capture all that information and have an easy way of grabbing receipts and pushing the transactions from the credit cards into Sage Intacct. One software that we do often use to do that is Ximplifi. So, that's one way that we can automate and be capturing receipts so that it's automatically pushed into the owner statement. And then again, you can see, we see our ending balance of $2,704, and then the owner payout, where we have recorded a bill out to this particular owner to process and pay with an ending balance of $0. Real quick, just jumping over to that bill. So certainly we have ways to record the owner's statements in bulk, but I'm just going to grab one individual one right now for presentation purposes. Here we have this bill that we've created on 11/30, 12/15, due date of 12/15, assuming that's when we actually pay out for every month. You can see we have picked that particular owner as the vendor, and we've hit this owner payout account to record the payout of that month's net income for this particular owner. One great feature is that you can very easily, right within Sage Intacct, pick ACH and process a payment. There's a couple ways we can do that. American Express Vendor Services, also this bill syncs over to Bill.com. So a lot of our clients, we use Bill.com, and so we can pay to our owners with really just a click of a button, and get those payments out to those owners. So it's as seamless and as paperless as possible. So finally, I'm going to get to what I believe is the most exciting part of the presentation. And I know you're probably saying, why did you wait till now? But this is a dashboard, a pretty standard dashboard that we create for our clients. And you can see now these dashboards are completely customizable. We can add as much as many different performance cards or data, reports, charts, etc. You can see we can have multiple dashboards. So we have one here that's really going to look at rents and everything associated with rentals. And then we have one for the operating company and its performance, which I'll get into in just a minute. But we're tracking here the rental revenue that's been recognized to date and by month, the bookings. So those are confirmed bookings, not bookings where the guest has stayed, but just bookings that have occurred this year or this month. The number of nights stayed. Again, that statistical data that, again, is flowing through via either a journal entry from the property management system or a direct integration, which allows us to calculate the average daily rate. We'll track the number of properties you're managing so that we can understand, hey, what's our revenue per property this year versus last, or this month versus last month. And then also our average rent per stay. So we're tracking the number of guest stays. We can see here we've broken out what our rental revenue is in the different destinations that we're working in, as well as our rental revenue by property. And I'll just blow this up just a little bit. But looking at also the trends for our rental revenue, the trends for our average daily rates in guest tickets. And also down here, I've put I've put a report, pretty standard report that we always show, which is, hey, what was the net income for each of our different properties? What have we recorded as a payout? And what's our ending balance? So we can see here that we've got 2 properties that we actually didn't record a payout for. Perhaps that's a mistake. Perhaps we are holding that money for next month because they have some repairs and maintenance expenses coming up. So, but either way, that way we can always see with a quick glance what is the money that's owed to our various owners. And then this is our trust reconciliation. So here's our cash sitting in our trust plus AR, which is typically undeposited funds or funds that haven't been received from the OTAs for payout. And then accounts payable, this is typically the amount owed to owners. Our accrued taxes, the advanced deposits that we're holding, the amount of the money that sits within the trust that's payable to operating, and then also any remaining balances that is owed to the owners. And then I'll just jump over to the VRM company's dashboard, and here is where we look at a few more detailed items that are specific to the actual operating company. So we're looking at commissions. I'll back this up just a little bit, but looking at commissions and rental management fees per property, our average management fee, what's our operating expenses, payroll, net income, and our profit margin. We think it's extremely important, and it's sometimes surprising to us how many operators don't understand, hey, what's your net income as a percentage of your rents? To facilitate that, we have this report. I'm just going to blow this up a little bit so that we can see it. But this is a pretty typical P&L statement where we have brought in the rental revenue. We know that that's flowing to the owners, but we did go ahead and bring that into this report and put it at the top so that we can see it on a monthly basis compared to the rest of our P&L for the operating company. And looking at those different fees and expenses as a percentage of revenue. So that's what this computation in each column is representing. And you can see here the P&L by month summing over here to the total year to date. Just got a few more things to go over here, but we've also, as you can see, we've got rental commissions by property. We could also do that by destination. We have tracking what our rental commissions and cleaning fees every month. Certainly looking at our operating cash position. Really, this is just a current ratio, looking at our current assets and our current liabilities. And one other great feature that we find is very useful for our clients is the ability, obviously, to set budgets within Sage Intacct, but then also look at, in here we can see, okay, what was our actual to date versus our budget through 11/30, but then also looking at taking our actuals plus whatever we're forecasting to happen in the month of December and comparing that to our total budget for the year of 2019. So this report is one that is typically found very useful by our clients. And then that's just the balance sheet. But I'll just reiterate that we can really do and add as much as we want within this dashboard and customize it in a way that meets whatever is important to you as the business owner. Well, that's for the most part. As far as the software, it's an incredibly powerful software, and there was no way that I'd be able to cover everything in it today, but I really tried to highlight what was important to this industry. I've listed over here, and we've talked, I know, in great depth, the challenges for this industry, but we really feel like with Sage Intacct, the advantages that our customers find are that we can handle trust accounting with really any property management software, and it's streamlined in a way that makes it very easy and much less time consuming than other options. Owner statements are very automated. All of your data and financial processes and transactions are happening in one system. So those owner statements become very easy to prepare. And I didn't get into it, but we do have the ability to push those owner statements into a portal or directly email out of the system and do those in bulk. So that is a very nice feature as well. The billable expenses, getting rid of that duplicate or even triple entry for bills that are billable to the owners, having the ability to pay bills right out of Sage Intacct or perhaps in Bill.com. You have all the data, both statistical and financial for your owners and your management company, all in the same system. The flexibility, again, we can customize and build it the way that meets your business's needs. And also the power of dimensions and those statistical accounts to build the custom reports and dashboards to give you the information you need to run and grow your business. So I have put it there. I'll open it up for some questions. I see Cheryl is asking, what type of support do we have, and can we call it anytime with questions throughout the month? Is it a call center? We absolutely provide support. It is not a call center. We have a support team where, we only have about 25 clients at this point, and so you're going to be talking with myself or our support team, which is generally made up of our onboarding and technical support team. You can call us, you can text us, you can chat with us on our website. Whichever way, we give you multiple ways to get a hold of us. Bob Brown just asked, what is the cost? Certainly expected that question. I'll address that in two ways. One, from an ongoing outsourced accounting services standpoint, really depends on the number of properties, your average bookings, et cetera. We work with property managers everywhere from 15 to several hundred. So we find that, we always fit into the budget of those particular companies. And always we're either around the cost or very similar to the cost of a part-time or full-time employee. So with the added benefit of the software, as well as having trained accountants that already know the industry, and you really get a team of people from an ongoing accounting standpoint. As far as the cost of Sage Intacct as a subscription, that too is going to depend on the number of users, and it's mainly driven by the number of users and the number of entities. Most people, the subscription costs are going to start around $8,000 a year, and we'll go up from there based on, do you need some additional modules? Everything we went over today is within core financials, but the cost is very much going to be determined on are we building a direct integration? Are we, how many users do you have? How many entities do you have, et cetera? So really encourage you to, set up a follow-up call to understand your specific business needs to address what the cost would be. Can the system handle more than one trust account and more than one business account? Yes, it can handle hundreds of trust accounts and business accounts if that's what you need. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions? I think I've tried to answer all of them at this point. Okay, sounds like we have a question in our chat box. Send me a link to this recorded video. Yes, everybody will be receiving the recorded demonstration, so happy to do that. Can you show us how to reconcile an Airbnb transaction? not necessarily going to, I guess I don't have that set up. Well, I'm not going to jump into that right now, but as far as an Airbnb transaction, obviously reconciling down to the penny includes taking into account the host fees, which we typically post as just an adjustment to that invoice, which with most property management systems we can grab and post directly into the system, and then that allows us to reconcile. Certainly sometimes you're getting batch payments from Airbnb, and that does take a bit of matching and understanding and having access to your Airbnb account to do that reconciliation. Another question I have is, Darren, if I didn't answer that question, I'm happy to talk about that in more depth, but I can walk you through how we do that on a call if you'd like. Question is, can you customize a P&L to see it the way we want to see it? The reports are completely customizable. So I actually might run back and show that that within the software, we can edit this report to really be whatever it is that you want. We can show it in summary format. We can show it in detailed format. We can pop it open and expand by dimensions. We can create different groups to show things the way that it makes sense for you. So yes, it is absolutely, it's customizable in more than one way. So yes, hopefully that answered your question. Organizing the P&L the way you think about your business. Again, we can customize that in any way that is necessary. And I have a couple questions in here. Darren Morgan, you asked, is that a manual process? There is a bit of, it depends a little bit as far as the manual process, getting back to the Airbnb reconciliation. One thing is, as those payments are posted, and if the payment from Airbnb is the same amount and we've taken into account all those fees, then there is an auto match feature, and you do have a bank feed within Sage Intacct, so that'll allow us, so it's, I guess, somewhat manual, but certainly as automated as it can be. And then just to clarify, they have a trust account from Cheryl. You have a trust account in the US and a trust account in Costa Rica, as well as business accounts in both countries for the same company. Does the system allow tracking for all the accounts within the same company? Cheryl, yes, that would be absolutely a yes. No problems with that at all. Edward asks, is there a startup fee and what would be the amount, assuming one integration with property management software? Again, Edward, that's going to depend a little bit on, what's the number of properties that we're talking about? Are we looking for ongoing accounting services? Are we just looking for subscription? So I can certainly go over more of the fees and the startup. There is a startup fee. There's an implementation that's necessary either from an onboarding perspective or building the system and customizing it for you. Typically, the cost is around 1 year's subscription cost. So that's usually around where that cost ends up. I'm going to check and see if I have any other questions. Okay, I don't think I have anything else. It is right at 4:15 at this point, so if we couldn't do better than that, I don't know how I would have. That's pretty amazing. I certainly appreciate everybody's signing on and taking a look at what we have to offer. Again, I will pop open just my contact info, jesse@ximplifi.com. You can also find click on our website, chat with us there. That comes directly to me, so I can, or feel free to call me. That's my cell phone number, and always happy to chat. Always happy to understand that accounting in this industry is a challenging one, and so we love helping vacation rental managers find the solutions that they need. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Again, thanks everybody for attending, and we'll chat soon.